Welcome into Viking Central and the Viking Central podcast. Going to talk a little bit about the Vikings coaching staff heading into this offseason. Viking season obviously ended last Sunday, so we're only about 5 days into it, but no major news has really broke about anything in that regard. Still very early in the process, obviously, and a lot could happen yet. The Vikings moved their season-ending presser to next week. It was supposed to be today, actually. I'm recording this on Thursday. It was supposed to be today, and for some odd reason, they did push it back until next week. I don't even know what day it lands on. I don't know if anyone does, but that was first reported by Darren Wolfson of Score North. So that's going to be next week. Probably going to hear from both Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi Adofo-Mensah unless something crazy happens. I don't foresee Kwesi Adofo-Mensah getting fired or anything like that, but there could be some shakeups in the front office or along the coaching staff before that press conference next week, whenever that may be. I'm hoping early in the week and they don't drag it on too long, but we haven't heard from neither of those guys yet. And it's not like they're going to tell us any any information really anyways, but at the same time, just like to hear from them, kind of get their thoughts a little bit, where things stand for this team, the quarterback position, Brian Flores, this offense. Is it going to be the same offensive staff? This offense was pretty putrid. The development of J.J. McCarthy was very rocky this year. When Max Brosmer got into the lineup, he looked like he did not belong in the NFL. So, where do we kind of start? There should be some changes because this season was very underwhelming. We did end up going 9-8, won 5 in a row at the end of the year, but that should not save jobs. If there was thoughts about it midseason about maybe getting a new, say, offensive coordinator or a new offensive line coach or someone else along the defensive staff, a new special teams coordinator, Matt Daniels, has kind of struggled in certain areas. I mean, the special teams actually did grade out very well and was one of the better overall units. That was probably carried by both Will Reichard and Ryan Wright. They both had incredible years, but I probably don't give much credit to Matt Daniels in that aspect. I want to see punt coverage and kick return coverage, and kick return coverage really failed at certain parts of the year. Very importantly, especially in the Bears game where Vikings up 1 with 40 seconds to go, and they give up a kick return that pretty much gets them right into field position or field goal position right off the bat. So no changes yet. Could see some changes, but I just want to talk a little bit about maybe Brian Flores and maybe even the possibility of getting a guy in like Mike McDaniel, Kevin Stefanski, or Brian Daboll. Probably not going to happen, but if Kevin O'Connell wants to kind of help out his young quarterback and kind of get this offense back into a rhythm, if one of those guys wants to take a consultant job or even, along the offensive staff in some capacity, Wes Phillips has been here for the same amount of time as Kevin O'Connell. Do you demote Wes Phillips and get a new offensive coordinator in here, or kind of what do you do along those lines? Starting with Brian Flores, is getting one head coach interview so far, and that is with the Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore Ravens fired John Harbaugh here. Was it yesterday? I believe it was yesterday. Parted ways with John Harbaugh after, I think, 18 years. One of the longest, if not the longest, tenured head coach in the NFL. But Brian Flores would make a lot of sense in there. Hard-nosed guy, defensive first guy. That's kind of what Baltimore is all about. And I think that would make a lot of sense. And I think Flores would be really good there. Now, is he going to get hired? I have no idea. But it sounds like he could even get some more interviews with like lateral moves with a defensive coordinator with the Cowboys, or another head coaching interview with the Raiders. It sounds like the Raiders could be interested in Brian Flores being their head coach. But obviously would love to have him back. At this point, I do not see it happening for a multitude of reasons. Not going to get into all the reasons, but mostly because, he is going to find a guy or find a spot that is going to, either give him a head coaching spot, or he could be the defense coordinator for, America's team, the Dallas Cowboys, who have struggled to, really break through in a long, long time with Jerry Jones running the show there. I don't know if they're going to, but I don't think Jerry Jones is afraid to open up his checkbook and make him the highest paid defense coordinator in the NFL if he needs to. So going to be interesting to see what they do with Brian Flores, what he decides to do. And, I know there's some interest of Jonathan Gannon. If that was to happen, if Brian Flores was to move on to be a DC at a different spot, or a head coach somewhere else, Jonathan Gannon makes sense. Was here for 4 years under Mike Zimmer. But, the organization's familiar with him, the Wilfs, and I think that could be a fit. I know he doesn't run the exact scheme that has been going on here, but you could also look at guys like Durante Jones, who's been here for a while with the Vikings, just being promoted into the defensive coordinator. Did go to LSU for that 1 year, but then came right back to Minnesota, and it sounds like he has a lot of fans here, for sure. Raheem Morris is another name. Got some connections there with Kevin O'Connell. I like Raheem Morris, but I kind of want this same attacking defense that Brian Flores has really equipped for this Vikings team. I think Durante Jones might be a guy that could really just continue to develop on those aspects that has made Brian Flores' defense so good. It might not be as good, but it's going to be the same scheme and the same kind of wrinkles that Brian Flores could throw in. And, Durante Jones, like I said, he's very well liked, and people really look at him at a high regard in the Vikings organization. Now, moving to the offensive side of the football, are we going to bring in a guy that can kind of help with this process? I know Kevin O'Connell is very, very self-confident, and that's great. He knows he's a damn good coach. He knows he can work with quarterbacks, but it just did not work in 2025 for whatever reason. It was just really rocky along the offensive side of the football, and that starts with the quarterback, but that also begins and really relies on what your head coach does. And Kevin O'Connell kind of failed in multiple aspects. I don't know if it was preparation or if it was just not tailoring the offense to your young quarterback. He was very hard-headed a little bit, didn't want to change it, finally changed it. Vikings won 5 games in a row once he kind of started slowly throwing in other things that are just simplifying the offense. And I could just see Kevin O'Connell not wanting to simplify the offense. But I could see a guy like Mike McDaniel or Brian Dable or even Kevin Stefanski or another one of those big name guys, if they don't get a head coaching spot or a OC spot in this cycle, this would be a good spot for them just to come consult or just be an offensive assistant of some sort. But at the end of the day, I do see all of those guys being an offensive coordinator somewhere, in my opinion, or even a head coach. So we'll have to wait and see what exactly happens along that. But there could be changes both offensively and defensively in the coaching staff here, and it's just kind of a wait and see approach so far. And it's something probably not going to happen here for a while. Brian Flores, he could be doing interviews for the next few weeks here, which is going to slow down the process a little bit, but at the same time, it is what it is, and that's how it goes. And unfortunately, we're going to be watching teams in the playoffs, and there's talk that the Steelers, the Packers, or the Bills, or somebody, they could fire one of their head coaches, and it's going to kind of reset the market again if they do lose opening weekend of the playoff football. So again, kind of a wait and see approach, but at the same time, kind of just some big things that are ready to evolve, and we're just, again, waiting. So what do you guys think? Brian Flores returning as DC? Do the Vikings need to bring someone in along the offensive staff to just kind of help elevate this offense with Kevin O'Connell and kind of see where it goes? But so far, nothing. It's been crickets. Thank you guys for tuning in. Viking Central. God bless.